Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty important, I think. Something that could actually be life-changing for a lot of you guys out there. We're talking all about brain health.
Brain health.
I know this has been on your mind a lot lately, especially with everything going on with your mom and dementia
Right.
and some of the choices, you've made in the past with your lifestyle and things. It's understandable to be a little bit concerned about your own brain health.
Yeah.
So to help us unpack this whole world, we're going to be diving into this fantastic interview with Dr. Daniel Amen. He's a renowned psychiatrist, a brain health expert.
Oh, yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, and this interview is from the Rich Roll podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Um, and I think what's so fascinating about Dr. Amen is that he goes beyond just those traditional methods that a lot of psychiatrists use.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, he uses brain SPECT imaging, so you can actually see what's happening in your brain.
He can see inside your brain.
Yeah, no, it's like X-ray vision for the brain, right?
Yeah. That's incredible. What does that even look like?
And this is something that most psychiatrists don't even use.
Really? I wonder why.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's giving him these really incredible insights into how our brains actually function.
That makes sense.
And one of the things that he talks about that I find super hopeful is this idea that our brains are not static.
Okay.
Like we're not just stuck with the brain we have.
Yeah.
They can actually improve.
So there's hope.
There is hope.
That's great to hear.
But he doesn't sugarcoat things either.
Okay.
Like one of the first things he drops in this interview is this statistic that 72% of Americans are overweight.
Wow.
And that can have a huge impact on brain size and function.
That's a lot of people.
I know, it's kind of a scary thought,
Yeah.
right? Especially, thinking about your past with alcohol
Right.
and feeling like maybe you're past the point of no return.
Yeah, I do sometimes worry about that.
I get it, but
I mean, is damage already done,
we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But first, I think we need to really unpack this whole brain SPECT imaging thing because it's pretty wild.
Yeah, let's do that. So how does that even work? What is it?
So imagine if you had a weather map, but for your brain.
A weather map for your brain.
Yeah, essentially that's what brain SPECT imaging does. It uses a tiny injection of a radioactive tracer, and it tracks blood flow and activity in different areas of the brain.
Okay, wait. Radioactive, that sounds a little scary.
I know. The word radioactive always kind of freaks me out too, but it's completely safe.
Okay, so it's not dangerous or anything.
No, not at all. And you're not stuck in like one of those claustrophobic MRI tubes either.
Oh, good. I hate those.
Yeah, no, me too. You just lie comfortably on a table, and a camera takes pictures of your brain as that tracer moves through it.
Interesting.
And Dr. Amen actually tells this really amazing story in the interview about his first patient.
Okay.
She was a woman who was suicidal, and he suspected that she might have ADD.
Wow, that's intense.
And so he did one of these brain scans on her, and when he showed her the scans, he was able to explain to her what was actually happening in her brain, and it was like this weight was lifted off her shoulders.
Oh, wow.
She finally understood that it wasn't her fault.
That must have been such a relief for her.
And it completely changed her outlook on things and her commitment to treatment.
That's amazing. So just seeing what was happening in her brain really made a difference.
I know. It really highlights how powerful knowledge can be, especially when you're dealing with something as serious as, well, suicidal thoughts.
Right. Knowledge is power.
And it kind of reminds me of another story he tells about his nephew, Andrew,
Okay.
who went through this really terrifying personality change because of a cyst.
Assist.
Yeah.
I know.
He went from being this happy kid to being mean and aggressive.
Wow, that's a big change.
Yeah, and he started drawing these really disturbing images.
Oh my goodness.
And it turned out that there was a cyst pressing on a part of his brain that was affecting his behavior.
That's so scary. So what happened?
Well, they were able to remove the cyst with surgery.
Okay.
And he literally smiled for the first time in a year after the surgery.
Oh, wow.
And he went back to being himself.
That's incredible. Thank goodness.
And I know you've mentioned being a little anxious about getting a brain scan yourself.
Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's my brain, It's
Yeah.
kind of a big deal. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's totally understandable to feel that way.
Especially with, your mom and dementia.
Exactly. Like, what if I see something I don't want to see?
I know, it's a scary thought.
Yeah.
That 1 in 2 chance of developing it if you live to 85.
It's terrifying, honestly.
But, like with Andrew's story, knowledge is power, right?
True.
If you know what's going on, you can actually do something about it.
That's a good point. So is there anything I can do to prevent it?
Well, Dr. Amen talks a lot about prevention.
Okay, good.
He says dementia is not a foregone conclusion.
Oh, phew. That's good to hear.
He has this acronym that he uses. It's called Bright Minds, and it stands for the 11 risk factors that can steal your mind.
11. Wow, that's a lot.
I know, it sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that he doesn't see these risk factors as just like a checklist of things to avoid.
Okay.
He actually talks about how we're essentially on a prevention program every single day.
And prevention program, I like that. So what we do matters every day.
Exactly. And it's not just about dementia, it's about overall brain health.
So it's like taking care of your heart, right?
Yeah.
You eat right, exercise, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And Dr. Amen actually has a family history of both obesity and heart disease.
Oh, wow.
But he's been able to avoid both of those things by making these conscious lifestyle choices.
That's encouraging.
And, you mentioned sleep deprivation and alcohol earlier.
Yeah, that's definitely been a struggle for me in the past.
Well, those are actually two of the risk factors in Bright Minds.
Oh, great.
But the good news is, it's never too late to start making changes.
Seriously. Even after all the damage I've done.
Seriously. Dr. Amen tells this amazing story about a former MLB player, Troy Glaus.
I remember him.
Yeah, and his brain was showing all this damage from years of alcohol abuse and concussions.
Oh, wow.
But he implemented Dr. Amen's recommendations, and after only 2 months, his brain scans showed significant improvement.
That's incredible. So you're saying there's still hope for me.
Absolutely, there's always hope.
Okay, so what are these recommendations? What can I do to start improving my brain health right now?
Well, Dr. Amen talks about these 3 pillars of brain health.
3 pillars.
Yeah. First, you have to have brain envy.
Brain envy.
Yeah, you got to care about your brain. You want to protect it.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess I never really thought about it like that.
Then it's all about avoiding things that hurt your brain.
Like alcohol.
Like alcohol, yep, lack of sleep, but also drugs, toxins, head injuries, things like that.
Okay, got it.
And finally, you got to do things that help your brain.
Things like?
Exercise, eating a brain-healthy diet, managing stress, all those good things.
So brain envy, avoid the bad, do the good. Makes sense. But what about those 11 Bright Minds risk factors? Which ones do you think I should really be focusing on?
Well, let's start with B, which stands for blood flow.
Blood flow.
Yeah, and Dr. Amen really emphasizes the importance of exercise,
Okay.
especially coordination exercises.
Coordination. Uh-oh.
He's a huge fan of table tennis.
Table tennis. I'm not exactly the most coordinated person.
I know. You've said that before, but maybe it's time to reconsider,
You think so?
Think of it as a fun challenge.
Okay, maybe.
You used to be pretty athletic, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Imagine how good it would feel to kind of tap back into that part of yourself.
You know what? You're right. That could be fun and good for my brain.
Exactly. What about I? I is for inflammation.
Inflammation. What does that have to do with the brain?
Well, inflammation is a huge factor in brain health. And Dr. Amen talks a lot about the importance of omega-3 fatty acids, gut health,
Okay.
and surprisingly, gum health.
Gum health. Really?
Yeah, inflammation in the gums can actually impact the brain.
Wow, I had no idea.
And I remember you mentioned having some periodontal problems in the past.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's something I should look into again.
Definitely something to pay attention to. Okay, so table tennis for coordination
Check.
and step up the dental hygiene game.
Got it. What's next?
M is for mental health.
Mental health. Okay.
And this is where Dr. Amen really emphasizes the importance of addressing past trauma.
Well, that's timely.
Because...
Well, I've been doing some trauma-focused therapy lately.
Yeah.
It's been really helpful in processing some, difficult experiences.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but how does trauma actually affect the brain?
Well, Dr. Amen says that trauma can actually change the structure and function of the brain.
Seriously?
Yeah, especially areas that are related to like emotional regulation, memory, stress response.
Wow, I never knew that.
So by working through those experiences in therapy, you're essentially helping your brain rewire itself.
Rewire itself. That's amazing. So therapy is actually changing my brain.
It is. Okay, what about D? D is for drugs and toxins.
Drugs and toxins. Okay.
And Dr. Amen is very clear about the dangers of alcohol, even in small amounts.
Oh, no. That doesn't sound good.
He also talks about how we're constantly bombarded with toxins in our environment, from the food we eat to the products we use.
That's a little scary.
I know. But he recommends this app called Think Dirty.
Think Dirty.
Yeah, and you can scan barcodes on products and see how toxic they are.
Oh, that's cool. I'm downloading that right now.
It's a great way to just be more informed about what you're putting in and on your body.
Awesome. Something I've been meaning to ask you about.
Yeah.
I was recently diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of a shock.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I just never thought of myself as someone with ADHD.
I get it. You don't really fit that, classic hyperactive stereotype.
Exactly. So am I just making this up?
Well, Dr. Amen actually says that there are 7 types of ADHD.
7 types.
Yeah, and they manifest in different ways.
Okay, so what are they?
Well, you have type 1, which is that classic ADHD we often think of.
The hyperactive one.
Yeah, with hyperactivity and impulsivity.
Okay.
But then there's also type 2, which is inattentive ADHD.
Inattentive.
So people with this type might struggle with focus and organization, but they're not necessarily hyperactive.
Okay, I can see that.
And then you have type 3, which is called overfocused ADHD.
Overfocus.
Yeah.
What's that like?
People with this type tend to get really engrossed in their work or hobbies.
Okay.
They can be very productive,
Okay.
but they also have difficulty with, like, flexibility and transitions.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Right. And Dr. Amen is actually concerned about the overdiagnosis of ADHD.
Really? Why?
He believes that brain imaging can help differentiate between the subtypes.
So that you can get the right treatment.
Exactly. Now, I want to talk about a concept that I think is going to be particularly relevant to you, given your past with addiction. Dr. Amen calls it the evil ruler.
The evil ruler. That sounds intense.
It's basically a metaphor that he uses to describe companies that intentionally use neuroscience to make their products addictive.
Wait, what? Like they're using science to get us hooked?
Yep. They're exploiting our brain's reward system, using things like intermittent reinforcement to keep us coming back for more.
Intermittent reinforcement. What does that mean?
Well, think of it like a slot machine.
A slot machine.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to hit the jackpot.
The possibility keeps you playing.
Exactly. And that's what these companies are doing with their products.
Oh, that's actually kind of scary.
It is, and it explains why it can be so hard to break those addictive patterns.
It's like they're playing with our brains.
They are. But the more you understand their tactics, the better equipped you'll be to resist them.
Okay, so awareness is key.
Awareness is key.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much we've learned about the brain today. Like, I feel like my mind is blown wide open.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it?
Going from, actually seeing brain activity with that SPECT imaging thing
Right.
to, like, companies trying to, like, hijack our brains with their products, it's
It's a lot to process.
a lot to process, yeah.
But I think the most important thing to remember is that you're now armed with all this knowledge.
Right.
And you can use it to actually make positive changes.
I'm feeling that, like, thinking back to where we started, I was, worried about dementia and all that.
Yeah.
My past with, like, drinking and stuff. And if it was too late to change anything,
Totally.
I was feeling pretty hopeless.
But you're not feeling hopeless now, are you?
No, not at all. I'm actually thinking about scheduling one of those brain scans.
Really?
Yeah. And I might even take up table tennis.
No way.
And I'm definitely downloading that Think Dirty app.
Awesome.
I'm like full steam ahead on brain health now.
That's the spirit.
I remember you told me that story about that baseball player, Troy Glass.
Oh, yeah, he was a mess.
I mean, his brain was showing all these signs of damage.
Years of alcohol abuse and concussions.
Yeah, but he followed Dr. Amen's recommendations.
And his brain scans showed crazy improvement. I mean, it was remarkable.
After only 2 months?
2 months. So there's definitely hope.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But honestly, when you first brought up the idea of getting a brain scan,
Yeah.
I was a little freaked out.
Yeah, it's a little intimidating. I get it.
But now knowing how valuable it could be,
Right.
I'm actually starting to see it as a good thing.
A positive step.
Exactly. Like, instead of being scared of what I might find out, it's more about being proactive.
Taking control of your brain health.
Exactly. That evil ruler concept, that was a big one for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really important concept for everyone to understand.
Because I always knew, advertising and marketing and all that,
Yeah.
it can be persuasive.
For sure.
But to think that these companies are like,
Using science to manipulate us.
yeah, it's wild. But at least now I know.
Right.
It's like forewarned is forearmed or whatever.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what's one habit or behavior you'd like to change to improve your brain health?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, it's probably screen time.
Screen time.
Yeah, especially social media.
Oh, yeah.
Like, knowing that it's using those sneaky tactics, that intermittent reinforcement stuff,
Yeah, all right.
it makes me want to, like, break free,
Absolutely. So maybe set some limits.
Yeah, and just be more mindful about why I'm using it.
Be more intentional.
Yeah, I like that. Intentional screen time.
I think that's a great goal. Every small step you take towards a healthier brain is a win.
I needed to hear that today.
You're investing in your future well-being.
I appreciate you saying that.
It's something to be proud of.
Thanks for all your insights today. It's been really eye-opening.
You got it. Thanks for diving in with me.
And to everyone listening, taking care of your brain isn't just about preventing some scary disease in the future.
It's about living your best life right now.
And you have more power to do that than you think.